I never imagined that one Friday evening after work would alter my life in such a profound way. My name is Laura Mitchell. I'm 39 years old, and I've been married to my husband, David, for almost a decade. Along with him came his son from his previous marriage, Ethan, who was only 12 when I became part of their lives. Now, Ethan is 21, navigating college life with its own set of responsibilities, ambitions, and frustrations. From the start, I tried to be supportive without ever attempting to take the place of his mother, who remained active in his world. I respected their bond, and instead aimed to simply be someone he could rely on. That particular Friday, I stayed much later at the office than I intended. The entire week had drained me. Tight deadlines, coworkers on edge, and a boss whose expectations seemed impossible to meet. By the time the weekend arrived, I was mentally and emotionally exhausted. A few colleagues suggested grabbing drinks after work. At first, I resisted, but eventually I convinced myself I deserved a little break. One drink became two, then three. I wasn't out of control, but I had consumed enough alcohol to feel unsteady. Wanting to be responsible, I called a cab to take me home. Still, I dreaded the thought of David seeing me in that condition. He had always been cautious with drinking, and I hated the idea of disappointing him. When I finally stepped through the front door, expecting to see my husband, I was caught off guard. It was Ethan who greeted me instead. He had returned home from college earlier than planned for the weekend. The look on his face mixed surprise, concern, and a little confusion. "Laura, are you okay?" he asked gently as he approached. Embarrassment hit me immediately. I wasn't stumbling uncontrollably, but it was clear I wasn't myself. I mumbled something about being fine and tried to move past him toward the couch. My bag slipped from my hand, scattering papers across the floor. Ethan bent down without hesitation, gathering them up with calm patience that only deepened my shame. "Here, let me help," he said quietly, placing everything neatly on the coffee table. That small act of kindness broke the fragile wall I had been holding up. Stress from work, exhaustion from pretending everything was fine, and the humiliation of being seen vulnerable by my stepson all collided at once. Tears filled my eyes. I sank onto the couch, buried my face in my hands, and began to cry. Ethan didn't rush me or pry. He sat across from me, waiting with quiet understanding. After a moment, he spoke in a soft tone. "Sounds like you've had a tough week." Those words struck me. No judgment, no criticism, just simple recognition of my humanity. I nodded, still catching my breath. I don't want your dad to see me like this. I don't want you to see me like this either." Ethan leaned back, his voice steady and reassuring. "You've always been there for me. Maybe tonight, it's my turn to be here for you." His response stunned me. For years, I'd wondered whether Ethan truly accepted me as part of his life. And there he was, offering me compassion I hadn't expected. That night, he brewed tea for me, stayed by my side until I calmed down, and even reminded me to drink water before going to bed. He never mentioned a word of it to David. Not because he wanted to keep secrets, but because he knew I needed space to gather myself. The next morning, I woke with a mild headache, but also with a clearer perspective. When I walked into the kitchen, Ethan was already there making pancakes. He glanced up and smiled. "Feeling better?" he asked. "Much," I replied, my gratitude genuine. That day marked a turning point in our relationship. Until then, I'd always felt like I was balancing delicately between being supportive and not overstepping my role. But after that night, the barrier between us shifted. We weren't just housemates tied together by circumstance. We became allies, almost friends. Over the following weeks, our conversations deepened. Ethan began sharing the stress of juggling college classes with his part-time job, while I opened up about the overwhelming pressures of my career. David noticed the difference, too. He was pleased to see us connecting, though he never knew the full story behind it. It was never about hiding the truth. It was about building trust. That vulnerable moment showed me it was okay to lean on others, even those you might not expect. Ethan had witnessed me at one of my lowest points, and instead of judging, he offered empathy. In the end, it wasn't about alcohol or embarrassment. It was about realizing that family isn't built on perfection. True family is about showing up for each other, especially when things get messy. That night reminded me to take better care of myself, but it also made me grateful for the people willing to step in when I falter. Ethan had grown into a man defined by kindness and compassion, and I couldn't have been prouder. Sometimes, the most unexpected situations reveal who genuinely has your back. For me, that truth became clear on a Friday night when my stepson found me struggling, and from that moment forward, our bond was no longer fragile. It was unshakable.